In the heart of the whispering woods, beneath the starlit sky, a group of friends gathered around a flickering bonfire. Laughter dances in the air, and the scent of toasted marshmallows fills the night. It's a moment of connection, away from the rush of everyday life, a time to share stories, to bond, and to create memories that last a lifetime. As the flames crackle and the shadows flicker, one man leans forward, a glint of intrigue in his eyes. The chatter quiets, anticipation hangs in the air, and the friends lean in closer. What tale will he weave tonight? One of adventure, mystery, or perhaps a lesson learned in the depths of the forest? The man began to tell a story that most of us can relate to. Underneath a dimly lit sky, Elias sat alone on a rocky hill, his thoughts heavier than the dark clouds gathered in the horizon. Life has tested him lately. He had lost his job, his relationship had crumbled, and every attempt to fix things seemed to push him deeper into despair. The day felt endless, the nights unforgiving. It seemed as though the world had conspired against him. In his isolation, Elias realized that to overcome these challenges in his life, he needed something more, something that could make him bulletproof, unshakable. He needed a paradigm shift. But how? How could he remain unshaken when the foundations of his life was crumbling, unsure of where to start? Elias remembered a friend mentioning the teachings of the Stoics and the Buddhists, both ways of life rooted in the inner strength, acceptance, and clarity. So he decided to begin his search there. The next day, he visited a local library, seeking wisdoms in ancient texts. He started with Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. The Roman emperor had endured tremendous hardships, but spoke of tranquility amidst chaos. Flipping through the pages, one passage caught his eye. You have the power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Elias paused. He thought of how much energy he had wasted fighting circumstances he couldn't control. His lost job, his broken relationship, the unpredictable storms of life. For the first time, he considered the possibility that his suffering stemmed not from the events themselves, but from his resistance to them. Could it be that the answer is not in changing the world, but in changing how we saw it? Determined to put this idea into practice, Elias made a small promise to himself. Each morning, before checking the news or his phone, he would sit quietly and reflect on what was within his control that day and what was not. He would remind himself to focus only on his actions, not the outcomes. At first, it was hard. His mind would wander to the painful memories, to the uncertainties that haunted him. But slowly he began to notice a shift. Instead of reacting with frustrations when things went wrong, he responded with a quiet acceptance. This is not in my control, he would tell himself, and the tension would dissolve. Yet even as this newfound calm emerged, something still gnawed within him. There were nights when the quiet felt empty, when detaching from the world felt more like an escape than strength. Seeking balance, Elias turned to Buddhist teaching next. One evening, at a nearby temple, he met a monk named Kavi, who welcomed him with a serene smile. Elias explained his search for resilience in his recent practice of Stoicism. Kavi nodded thoughtfully and spoke softly. You know, Stoicism teaches you to focus on what you can control, and that is good. But suffering is not just about control. It is about attachment. We suffer because we cling. Elias raised an eyebrow. Cling to what? To desire, to outcomes, to the ideas that life must go a certain way, Kavi said. When we let go of the attachments, we see things as they are, without the layers of expectations or resistance. The world is not cruel or kind. It simply is. We add the rest. The words settled into Elias like seed. He reflected on the times he had felt broken. When he lost his job, it wasn't just about the job he mourned. It was the life that he imagined that would bring him. When his relationship ended, the loss was compounded by his hope for a future with someone who no longer shared his vision. Clinging to the image of how things should be, that's the root of suffering, Kavi added. But when you can release those images, you're free to move through life with compassion, clarity, and resilience. In the weeks that followed, Elias combined the lessons he had learned from Stoicism. He gained the discipline to focus on what is within his control and accept the rest. From Buddhism, he learned to let go of the attachment to outcomes and accept life's impermanence. When thoughts of failures returned, he welcomed them as a passing clouds in the sky of his mind. He no longer resisted them nor clung to their weight. Instead, he observed, breathed, and allowed them to drift away. Life's ups and downs no longer shook him to his core. They were part of the rhythm of existence. One afternoon, after a long walk through the woods, Elias found himself back on the rocky hill where his journey began. The sky above was still vast, but no longer felt so heavy. He watched the clouds shift, roll, and disappear into the horizon. He had come to understand that life, too, would continue to shift. Jobs might be lost, relationships might end, the hardships would come and go. But through it all, there was a deeper peace, one that no storm could take from him. With a steady breath, Elias stood, feeling the solid ground beneath his feet, and smiled. He had found what he was searching for, the paradigm shift, becoming resilient. Resilience wasn't about never falling. It was about learning to rise again and again with acceptance and grace.